Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to use SolverTable. I'm going to start with this model that I have here. So this is just to demonstrate SolverTable. So the first thing that you need is an optimization model. So here what I have is a situation where a call center has to decide on how many employees to schedule for each of their shift, and their shift work from here. We have the data, we have what is the wage for each shift, and we also have what are the days off for each one. So that's the input information, and the wage changes depending on when the days off are. So of course, if the day off are Saturday and Sunday, that one is the one that has the lowest wage. But then if they don't get Sunday and Saturday as off, but they have to work during the weekend, then the wage is higher. So here is the wage. Here is the actual number of agents that I need for each day. So what I have set up here is my spreadsheet model where I have the shift, I have the days off, so I can clearly look at that. I have here the decision variables, so here are the number of agents that I'm going to need to schedule on each shift in order to simplify the constraints about the number of employees or the number of agents I need. So here is the table that links there. So a person that is working on shift 1 is not available on Monday, but it's available Tuesday through Saturday, and then it's not available on Sunday. That's based on the information that is here. Okay, and here I have like the total number of employees that are on a Monday, number of employees that is on a Tuesday, and so forth. And the constraint or the requirement is that those total have to be greater than the number needed for each of those days. And here I have the total cost for this. So total cost. So I already set up all the model, it's working, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check, or I'm going to see what happened if some of the information changes. And the information that I'm going to change first is the number of agents needed. So let's say these are estimates. No, so let's say if these numbers change in the minute that they're higher, let's say 10% higher, 20% higher, how does that affect my decisions in terms of the number of employees scheduled for a shift? I can also look at changes in the wages. I can do both of them at the same time. Okay, so I need to modify my spreadsheet, so I'm going to try to minimize the changes to my spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do, let's see. Let me see how this is. So these are just numbers. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to work on this. So I'm going to replicate this table. And this is the number of agents. This is the original. This is the updated. I'm going to call it updated. And I'm going to put the percentage change. So I'm going to call it change. I'm going to put a percentage here. So let's say I say 20% change. I'm going to put it as a okay. And now what I'm going to do, instead of putting here 27, I'm going to say this is equal to 1 plus the change times the original value. Okay, so if there is a 20% increase, now for Monday, instead of needing 27 employees, I need 32.4. Let me see, now I'm going to, just because I don't like to do work over and over again, I'm going to put dollar signs here. So I'll put dollar signs in front of the change, and I'm just going to copy that. Alright, so now I can make the necessary changes. Put 0 here, that will be the original problem, and the numbers here, which is the constraint, the total needed is still what it was before. Now if I change it to, let's say 10%, I see that the number needed has changed. It changed here in my input data, and then here on my model. I can do something similar if I want to also look at changes in the cost of the wages. That could be another thing that changes. So I'll do sort of the same idea. Copy that table, put it here, and I'm going to put here what is the change. And maybe I'll start with 10%. Okay. I need to modify that. It's a percentage. And I'll do exactly the same. I'll say this is equal to 1 plus the percentage times the original value. Enter. So that will be an increase of 10% in the wage for shift 1. And I'm going to, again, use the dollar sign so I don't have to write the same thing over and over again. Okay. Okay, so right there I have, I updated the values. So now these values are 10% higher what the original values were. And I have here what the total cost is if that happens. So everything gets updated in the model. If I put here 0 again, I have the 22,540, which was the original value. Same thing here. If I put the 0 there, that means all the costs. Okay, so what I have here is 2 cells that I can use to change input. So I can say that I want to change in my model. So I'm going to, no, yellow is for my decision variable. So maybe I'll put it green. So I just know that this is something different. No, yeah, green, come on, green, there. All right, now I can use SolverTable in my model. I do first a one-way table, changing just the number of agents needed. And then if I want, I can do a two-way table. So SolverTable, run SolverTable. Here I get a message letting me know that I need to have a model working, and I already do. I already solved this problem with the data. I have the answer report, sensitivity report. I know that it works, so I can say yes. I get the question here, do I want a one-way table? I'll say yes, I want a one-way table. And now, where is the input cell that I'm going to change? So I'll start changing the number of agents needed. These were estimate, so maybe I want to see how my solution changes if I need more or less agents. I can now set up, well, I'm going to change descriptive. So I said change and agents needed. I can make that actually a negative number. So I could say the decrease. So I might want to do that change. So I'm going to imagine like that it decreases. Maybe it goes from 0.5 decrease of 50% to an increase of 100% in increments of 0.1, increments of 10%. That sounds good. Now I can keep track. I need to select what are the outputs that I'm going to keep track of. So of course I'm going to keep track of the cost. That's usually the main thing that I'm tracking, and then actually I'll keep track also of the number of agents that I need for each of the shift. So what I did is I hit Control on my computer and then highlighted the cells. So here I have all the cells. Now I'm going to say okay. This might take a few minutes. I'm going to speed it up if it takes more than a few seconds, but that's normal. No, the computer has to solve multiple models to give me the SolverTable. All right, so here I have the first table, the one-way table, where I change the percentage of agents needed in the estimate. So decreasing to half, to no change, to even doubling the number of agents. And here what I have is the first column is the total cost, and then how many actual agents I need to hire for each of the shift in each of those solutions. Okay, so that is one table. Clearly the cost is going to increase. If I want to change the data for my chart, I can do that too. So here I can see that the number of agents in shift 1 changes depending on what is the actual demand of agents on those days. So look at that for the other one. All right, now I can also go back and I can run another one where actually I'm going to jump ahead and I'm going to do a two-way table. So I'm going to change the number of agents needed and I'm also going to change the wage. So let's see. So yes, two-way table. So now I'm changing two things. One of the inputs is going to be the agents needed. So I'll put here needed. The other one is going to be the wage. And now I can also, I'll do the same changes. So 50% decrease, maximum of 1 increment, I'll do 0.1. And then I'll do for the wages, well, I'll consider maybe a 20% down and 20% higher, and also maybe a smaller percentage change, so 5% change. Now, what I'm going to keep track? Well, I can do the same thing. The only problem with a two-way table is that for every single output I request, I'm going to get a table. So just for simplicity, I'm just going to keep track of only the cost, so that way I get only one table. Say it okay. It's going to take again some time. Okay, so here I have the two-way table where I have the change. So here as a column I have the change in the number of agents needed. Here as the header of the columns I have the change in the wages. If I look here where I have 0, 0, I have the value that I had at the original setup. And then I have information about how the total cost changes when those estimates change. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about how to run this solver table.